Much better. Hey guys, I know it's a little late, but today I'm going to be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? And there are honestly a lot of reasons. I've been lurking on Booktube for quite a while, and the more I looked, the more I noticed that I didn't really find anyone who reminded me of myself. Now, by that, I don't mean that we don't have enough, white women in their 20s or anything like that. I know there are plenty of people that fit that description. But what I mean is that I didn't find many people who were plus-sized or atheist or pansexual or feminist or poly or struggle with mental illness or physical disability or like a rare disease. I didn't see many people who struggle with the same things that I do in life, and I felt that I might be able to bring a different perspective to Booktube. But I also wanted to start it because, I want to read books and make friends and talk to people who love reading books, and be a part of the Booktube community. That's also a big part of it. Plus, I haven't seen a single other booktuber that's studying to be a mortician. Just saying. So the next question is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? And the short answer is me, honestly, because there's only one of me in existence, and I'll be the only one of me on Booktube. And I don't know, I think I have a unique perspective to bring to a certain extent. I'm pretty sure I'm the only training mortician on Booktube. Not to, bring that point up again, but just saying. Plus, I was also really into theater in high school, and I'm hoping maybe that training will kick back in at some point. Right now, I'm just starting out, so I'm still really nervous, and I'm having to work out some anxiety, but hopefully I'll be able to get through it. So the third question is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? I guess I'm just excited about getting my thoughts out there, making new friends, maybe discovering some new books, who knows. I'm just excited about finally being a part of the conversation and trying out some of my ideas. The next question is, why do you love reading? And I honestly don't even know where to start. I have always read as long as I can remember. Some of my first memories were of reading. I think my mother in particular helped instill a love of literature and reading at a very young age. She would read Winnie the Pooh to me every night, or just whatever I was into at that time, and I guess it helped form that connection. And my father was always really into reading, and then once my stepfather came around, he was really into reading. My older sister, my younger siblings, my aunt who had a big hand in helping raise me. Just a lot of people in my life love reading, and helped me see that it could be an enjoyable thing. There was also the fact that I was bullied a lot in elementary school in particular, and middle school, and it kind of helped me escape and create worlds of my own. Next question is, what book or series got you into reading? And I don't have an answer for this question because I've just always been into reading, but I'll list off some of my favorites from each point in my life. When I was a child, I enjoyed Berenstain Bears, Mr. Frog and Mr. Toad, The Boxcar Children, Dragon Slayer's Academy, Super Fudge, Winnie the Pooh, Little House on the Prairie, My Side of the Mountain, Goosebump books, just books about life. I just loved books in general, honestly. Roald Dahl books, Junie B. Jones, Ramona Quimby, Manicula, and those scary stories to be told in the dark books. Those were great. I loved those. And then around 5th grade, I discovered Harry Potter, which just kind of changed everything completely because I hadn't read a lot of fantasy books up to that point. So I got really into Harry Potter. There was one summer where I did nothing but read Harry Potter. I swear, like, you think I am joking? At that point, there were only 4 books out, but I would start the day and I would read the first 2 Harry Potter books in one day. I would devote one day entirely to that. All I would do is eat and go to the bathroom. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk to anyone. I wouldn't talk on the phone, and I didn't have any friends at that point, so it didn't matter. Like, no one missed me other than my family, who, were just kind of glad that I was reading, you know? And then the next day, I would read the third book. And once I finished that, I would start the fourth book. And the day after that, I would finish the fourth book. And then the cycle would start all over again the next day. So it was it was a 3-day cycle of me just reading the Harry Potter books over and over again for like 2 months straight. There was one day, I think, where I got out of the house because my mom wanted me to stay with a friend of the family or something like that. And even when I went to their house, I found a book on their bookshelf and I read through the entire night. I didn't sleep the entire time I was there. And it was bad. I had a big problem, but I loved those books. And after that, I went to middle school and I discovered Lord of the Rings, which just opened my eyes to just this entire universe. And after that, I became ravenous. I was just looking for anything that I could to read. And the fact that accelerated reader was the thing at that point didn't really help because I wanted those points. So I just was reading everything that I could. I really liked Lois Duncan at that point, but she wasn't really fantasy. She was more along the horror genre. Other than that, I was gobbling up, classics and just anything that had won a Pulitzer Prize at that point, or I just saw and I thought, hey, that looks interesting. I'd grab it up, gobble it up, and look for something more. I think that's the point in my life where I've read the most. And then in high school, I got a little more into Stephen King and stuff like that because I had never heard of the book Carrie. And fun fact, my name is Carrie. My mom had hidden the book from me my entire life because she was convinced that I would think that I was going to have telekinetic powers or that was who she had named me after, which isn't true. She named me after my grandmother. But sure enough, right after I found out it existed, I went out and I read it, and I was like, well, I'm seeing too many similarities here. Because in the book, Carrie, she's plus-sized, and she gets made fun of her entire life and bullied. And had a lot of, she had oppressive religious figures in her life. And I did as well, though not to the same extent. Thankfully, that would have been terrible. But I was a very angsty teenager. That's when my depression started. So just everything was a lot worse than it seemed. So I connected with her a lot. Oh, sorry, I probably just scraped the mic. But yeah, anyway, that started me on my Stephen King run. And I think that's mostly what took up my high school years. That and just, stumbling across different fantasy books and continuing to read Harry Potter like a damn fiend. I don't think there was much of anything else. Well, by this point I was also reading to my siblings because they were getting to the point where they were old enough to understand Harry Potter. So I would read to them every night. My younger sister in particular, she would get a kind of a gift every 10 chapters or so, I think. So we would read every night, and then she got to pick a Beanie Baby or something like that. I don't remember, but it was a lot of fun. And then after we finished each book, they would act out the book, kind of as like a test. I don't know. We were weird children. Very strange. It was a lot of fun. I just wanted to apologize right quick because I know I sound really sniffly and nasally. I was sick recently with a really bad cold, and I'm not contagious anymore, but I'm still kind of gross, and don't feel my best, at least as far as my nasal cavity goes. So, sorry about that. I know I don't like listening to people sniffling and all that. But the next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Well, what editing equipment do you use? For one thing, because I'm kind of working on a budget, and the editing program that I'm using right now, I can't remember the name of it, but I don't like it very much. Also, do you have any book recommendations? I don't know. What should I avoid as a new booktuber? Also, do you have any sources for cheap books or anything like that for those of us on a budget? The next question is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? For me, my anxiety is a big factor. There's also the fact that I'm honestly kind of poor. You know, I'm a college student and my husband is a teacher. That should tell you something about my income at the moment. There's also scheduling inconsistency because I am in school and have other things going on. I also have a stepdaughter who requires my attention, who I love very much. So consistency could be an issue. I'm hoping I can avoid that though. Coming up with new ideas eventually, I'm sure, will be an issue. I'm always just like in awe of people who continuously are able to come up with new, fresh ideas and just have a steady stream of output. Question 8 is, when did you start reading? But I feel like I already kind of answered that one in question 4, I believe. But I've basically read as long as I can remember. My first memories are literally of me reading, you know, Winnie the Pooh. So all my life. But I think middle school, I guess, would be when I started reading with intensity. Number 9 is, where do you read? And the answer to that is wherever I can. Often in the car or in bed or on my back stoop. But honestly, if I'm sitting somewhere, sometimes even if I'm standing, I will read if I have a book on me and something else isn't demanding my attention. Sometimes even, you know, if I'm cooking, I'll throw on an audiobook so I can still continue reading while my hands are busy. So the next question is, what kind of books do you like to read? This is actually the last question as well. Short answer is pretty much all of them. I'm not a big fan of romance, westerns, and erotica, but I do make exceptions for those as well. But here's my list. Get ready. High fantasy, urban fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, horror, dystopia. I consider that its own genre in itself because it can have elements of horror, and it connects to young adult, it connects to sci-fi, it connects to so many different things, and I feel like there are so many different types of dystopian stories. And I love them all. Any kind of dystopia, let me have it. Young adult / contemporary novels, comedies, biographies, if it's about the right person, nonfiction, if it's something that I'm actually interested in. Let me see. Classics, action, gothic romance, which is part of what I meant by if it's a specific type of romance. Space westerns, supernatural adventures, children's books, short stories, poetry. So honestly, just a little bit of everything, honestly. Like, if it's something that I'm interested in, then I will read it. And I think you can learn that by looking at my Bookstagram in particular and looking through it, because it's not just all one genre of book. I might go through phases or something like that where I'll just read horror for a little while, but then the next week I'll be sitting there reading biography, and then the next week I'll be reading a fantasy or, you know, a contemporary novel. I jump all over the place, and that's how I like it, because I never end up stagnant and I never end up bored with what I'm reading. Alright guys, well that's the end of my Booktube Newbie Tag. Let me know if you have any other questions below, or any commentary, any recommendations. I welcome it all, believe me. Also, like and subscribe. Please help a growing channel out. Appreciate it. Alms for the poor. And just have a great day.